Hey guys, my name is Emma and today I'm doing my July TBR and also filling you in on what I'm currently reading right now. So this video is going to be broken up into a few sections. I'm going to have my currently reading books, I'm going to have my books that I definitely need to get to in July, and then I've got a whole collection of books that I'm kind of keen for, I might be going for. And so yeah, just going to kind of show you the range. I don't have a fun challenge for this month. This is just like a classic TBR, throwing it back old school style. So I'm currently in the middle of 3 books that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to finish by the time July rolls around, so I will be currently reading them kind of going through into the month of July. The first one is an audiobook and it's Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, which is book 3 of the trilogy. So I started this one a few days ago. I'm maybe 4 or 5 hours in. I think it's about 20-25%. Really enjoying it and really keen to finish off the trilogy, but definitely won't get it done in the next few days, so it will be carrying over. The other 2 books that I'm reading, one of them is The Art of Rivalry by Sebastian Smee. This is a non-fiction book looking at 4 different rivalries within modern art between like pairs of artists, and how that rivalry spurred both people in the rivalry to kind of go on to do like greater art and bigger things because of having that person to kind of clash against. It's really interesting actually. I'm like 100 pages or so in, which again is around 20-25%, but the problem is it's a little bit dry in places and there's a lot of information, and at the moment I'm mainly reading on the way to work or in bed before going to sleep, and actually in neither of those situations is it helpful to have one that I really need to focus on and like really be awake for and pay attention to. So because of that, this is taking a little while longer to get through. The other one that I'm currently reading and will be currently reading for quite a while is Rumo by Walter Myers. This is an absolute beast of a book. I think it's like 800 pages or something crazy like that. I'm about 100 in, maybe a fraction further. Yeah, about 120, 130, something like that. It's taking me a really long time to get through it because the world building is very intense. So again, similar to The Art of Rivalry, I really need to be in a place where I can concentrate and be quite awake for it. And also, I can't take this on the walk to work. It's huge. Like, this is ridiculous as far as books go. Hopefully I'll finish it in July, but if not, it will drift into August and potentially tie up a potential NOOT qualification, which could be a pain. So those are ones that I'm currently reading, and I have 2 books that I'm definitely going to get to in the month of July. The first one is The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo. So Mara from Books Like Woe is hosting a read-along for this, which I am joining in for. She's hosting the read-along mainly inspired by the fire that happened in Notre Dame very recently, and this is kind of an homage to the building as such, and it's a read-along that's happening from like 3rd of July to the 13th, and the idea is that we're hopefully going to finish the book by Bastille Day, which is France's kind of national day as such, like an Independence Day or whatever you want to call it. So hopefully I'm going to keep up with the schedule. It's pretty much 1 chapter a day for like 10-ish days. And then Amy and I are still doing our buddy reading. Amy has since retired her channel, so we're not going to be posting any content linked to the buddy reads specifically, but we are still buddy reading a book because it's been really enjoyable for both of us. And for the month of July we're going to be doing a reread, and we're going to be rereading Sophie's World by Justine Gardner. This book I hold almost solely responsible for the reason why I took philosophy at university. It's a wonderful, quite quirky story which is about a young girl called Sophie who is learning about philosophy from this kind of mentor person, but in doing so is then like confronting concepts of skepticism and almost like confronting the fact that she knows that she's in a novel, and it starts to break the 4th wall and do some really exciting things. I've not read this since I was about 12, like in kind of year 9, so it'll be really fun to revisit it, especially since having now done my degree and coming at it from a very different place when it comes to like my background knowledge on philosophy. So those are the 2 books I'm definitely going to get to, and the other 3 that hopefully I will finish, but I have a whole host of books that I'm kind of keen to try and fit in at some point. I'm on a really big classics kick at the moment. I'm purposely not putting a non-fiction into this month because non-fiction November is coming up, and I know I'm going to read loads of non-fiction in that. So whilst I'm on track for my non-fiction like gothy books in the year, I can kind of let that one relax a bit because I know I've got a big month coming up. However, I do need to slightly ramp up my classics reading so that way when non-fiction November happens and I have that month gap, I don't end up falling behind. I also want to read 20 classics books in 2019. Doing really well. and I'm also really enjoying it. So because I'm in such a classicsy mood at the moment, I'm thinking we're going to try and keep that momentum going. So I have a whole bunch of classics books that I want to try and prioritize and get to in July. The first lot is basically, I want to read a Bronte, but I don't know who. So I have that's Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I've got Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and I've got The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte, and I'm going to read one of them. I don't know which one yet. I actually have Jane Eyre on audiobook as well, and I'm quite excited by that. That might be my next audiobook when I finish Return of the King, so that one might happen. Wuthering Heights is the shortest and is also one that I, in theory, was supposed to read for school, read maybe half of it, and then basically abandoned it and kind of blagged to the rest of the class. I didn't really enjoy it when reading it for school, but I think that might have been because I was analysing it, so I'm hoping that when I revisit it, it might be a bit better. However, having like chatted with a load of people, watched some podcasts, other videos, etc, etc, I think I would probably enjoy Anne Bronte's writing the most, so I'm very, very torn. But basically, one of these is going to happen in July, I just don't know which one yet. On a similar note, I've been really enjoying a lot of the old school sci-fi that I was reading, so I've done like H.G. Wells, I've been enjoying all the Lord of the Rings, so I'd like to read another one of those. So, on my Kindle, which is just here, I got a new case for it, by the way. Oh, I got a grubby case. I got a new case for my Kindle. This is called A Clever Case. I'll link the company down below. It's absolutely stunning. I love it to bits. I put like a dedication in the front. It says, it's a quote by C.S. Lewis, and it says, "You can never have a cup of tea large enough or a book long enough for me." And on the spine it says Emma's next read. I would show you, but when I tried to do this in the last video, it just didn't register it at all. But it's beautiful. And basically I've got pretty much all of H.G. Wells' work and all of Jules Verne's work on here, so I'm probably going to be reading one of those from this. I also have this copy of The Island of Dr. Morano, so I might read this one instead. And I also have all of Jules Verne's work in this bit of a bind up here, so I have them like here and here, and it will just be whichever volume is easiest to read through in any particular time. And then the final classic that I'm kind of maybe toying about reading is Emma by Jane Austen. Do you like all of my Penguin English Library Classics editions? They're beautiful, aren't they? So I've been enjoying Jane Austen. I've read 2 so far this year. I might be in the mood for something that is a little bit more kind of whimsical and light-hearted, and she definitely does that kind of satirical commentary on society very well, and this is my namesake, so I might as well give it a bit of a go. So I might get around to this one, I might not. This is probably the one that I'm like least likely to read. And then if I'm not in the mood for classics, which is totally fair, I have a fair number going right now, I do just have like a couple of books that I might read if I want something a little bit lighter. So I've got The Versions of Us by Laura Barnett. This is supposed to be like One Day Meets Sliding Doors. It's kind of a two people, like, it's kind of a contemporary with a bit of a twist. Two people meet and then there's like a turning point in their life, and it then sparks off into multiple timelines as to what happens dependent on what they do from this one pivotal moment. I really like discussions of turning points in life and things like that. I think they're really interesting. I love the movie Sliding Doors, so this is my option for like if I'm in the mood for a light-hearted contemporary, or as contemporary as I ever get, because I don't like straight contemporaries. So contemporary with a little bit of a twist. If I'm in a bit of a fantasy mood, then I do still have A Gathering of Shadows, which is the second book in V.E. Schwab's Red London series. Spoiler alert for my June wrap up, I didn't get around to this one this month. I read Midnight Never Come instead, so I'm kind of keen for this one. It'd be nice to kind of jump in and read about a world that I already know a decent amount about. I also have on my Kindle a couple of the books by Charlie M. Holbert. It's like Magic Bitter, Magic Sweet, and then The Smoke and Summons are the 2 books that I have. Turns out they're actually from 2 completely separate series, and I think one of them might even be a standalone. So those are kind of my go-to like super chill reading that I might end up going for this month too. So I'm kind of relying on my Kindle quite a lot this month, but I like that. The new case is making me even more psyched to use it, which is lovely when that happens. And then the final book that I'm like definitely going to be reading some of in July is, again, like slight spoiler alert for my June wrap up. A couple of weeks ago I just got in like a really weird nostalgic mood, and I decided to go back and reread a bunch of the Animorphs books by Kay Applegate or Appleton from my childhood, and I am absolutely loving them and really enjoying it. They're like such a fantastic read for when it's been a crazy long day or when I really don't want to have to focus on anything. So I'm currently on book 8 right now. I might end up finishing that before the end of the month. I might be on book 9 by the time the wrap-up comes out, but there are 54 in this series, and I've got up to like book 13 or 14 on my e-reader, so those are definitely going to end up featuring. So kind of an ambitious TBR, but again not really, because there's a lot of like swapping in options for other options kind of vibe. But those are the books I'm planning on getting to. A lot of classics in there, really super enjoying that, so that's gonna be good fun. Oh, final thing, I've got the Bell Jar as well on audiobook, and when I finish Lord of the Rings I might go for that one instead of Jane Eyre. Like, those are the two that I am thinking about at the moment. Obviously it's Sylvia Plath's one. So yes, that's pretty much it from me. If you have any opinions about like which Bronte I should go for instead, people who know my reading taste, which one do you think I should read? And again, for the H.G. Wells and the Jules Verne, like if you have a particular book of theirs that you think I should go for. I've read The Time Machine by H.G. Wells and that's it, and I've not read any Jules Verne, so kind of a very clean slate to be working from, but I have all of their books in various forms, so the choice, the possibilities are not quite endless, but bountiful possibilities. So that's pretty much it from me. I hope you have a wonderful reading week, and I'll chat to you soon. Bye guys.